Welcome. Today we're doing a deep dive into resilience, specifically through the lens of American grit. We've got some source material you shared, and we're going to be digging into that. It's all about being, well, unstoppable.
That's right. Yeah, our mission today is really to unpack the core ideas in this material.
Yeah.
The history behind it, the key principles it lays out, and the practical side too. What does unstoppable resilience actually look like according to these sources, and how might that framing apply to you?
Exactly. And the source material, it jumps right in. It poses a pretty direct question, actually. Are you living up to what it calls a legacy of relentless achievement? Or are you maybe letting obstacles hold you back?
Hmm.
So think of this deep dive as maybe a way to use these perspectives, these insights, to bridge that gap between just feeling motivated and, actually taking action. Let's start unpacking.
Okay. So what really stands out first is how this material roots the whole idea of grit in, like, the nation's founding story. It paints this picture of the U.S. being built by, well, rebels, really. Underdogs, people who just refuse to accept limits.
Yeah, and it uses some pretty powerful historical examples to back that up.
Yeah.
Like the Wright brothers. The source specifically emphasizes their failures, saying they failed, what, 1,000
The
times?
1,000 times, yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a smooth flight path for them.
Not at all. It was all about persistent trial and, frankly, a lot of error.
Precisely. And think about Thomas Edison, too. The material throws out that number, 10,000 attempts,
Yeah.
just for the light bulb.
Wow, 10,000.
Right. These weren't quick wins. The breakthroughs only came after just immense sustained effort, facing setback after setback.
And it's not just inventors. The source also brings in people like Oprah, right? Highlighting her journey, from poverty to becoming this huge media icon.
Different fields, totally different backgrounds.
But the common thread, the thing the source really hammers home, is that resilience boils down to refusing to quit when failure inevitably happens.
Yeah, that perspective on failure is absolutely key here. The material doesn't see it as, like, the end of the road.
Right.
It pushes this idea that grit isn't just about working hard, it's about that refusal to give in to failure. So in this context, failure isn't the end. It's framed more like a required coursework for success.
Required coursework. I like that. It's not a penalty. It's part of the curriculum you have to get through.
Exactly. It's a step you have to complete, not a wall stopping you.
Okay, so that's the historical angle.
Yeah.
Moving on from that, the material offers something more practical. It outlines what it calls the 3 laws of unstoppable grit.
Right, this is where we get into the more actionable principles pulled from the source. And the first law, it's put very bluntly, embrace the suck.
Embrace the suck.
Yeah.
Okay. How does the material define that?
Well, the idea is that the struggle itself, that's not the enemy, it is the training.
Ah,
It uses the analogy of Navy SEALs. Their strength comes from adapting to hardship, right? Not from complaining about it.
so it's about reframing those tough moments, seeing them as chances to get stronger, not just reasons to stop.
Exactly. That's law 1. Law 2 is find your why.
Find your why, purpose then.
Yeah, absolutely. This part underscores the need for purpose, for having a dream that's big enough, important enough, to actually fight for.
And the material connects us back, doesn't it, to that historical context.
Yeah.
It asks us to think about why immigrants risked everything. And the answer it gives is pretty clear: for freedom, for purpose.
It even sort of evokes the spirit of Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream, as this powerful example of fighting for something profound.
So this principle, it really challenges you, the listener, directly. According to this idea, what is your dream? What's worth fighting for?
Right. And that connects your internal drive, your why, to the external push you need, which naturally brings us to the third law, outwork your doubts.
Outwork your doubts. Okay, so this one is squarely focused on action, on hustle.
Yeah, cure action. The contrast it draws is pretty stark. You grind while others are sleeping. You create while they're complaining, that kind of thing.
And it mentions figures like Elon Musk linking that kind of relentless effort to pursuing something truly important.
Exactly. The core idea is simple. Persistent action is how you overcome that internal resistance, the doubt that can hold you back.
Okay, so those 3 laws seem to provide a clear sequence, according to the source. Reframe the struggle, find your driving purpose, and then just act consistently.
Yeah, embrace it. Find the reason, then do the work. But the material doesn't just leave it at history or principles. It tries to bring these ideas right into the present day.
Absolutely. It shares some contemporary stories, examples of people embodying these laws right now. Like, there's Sarah, single mom, working 2 jobs, teaching herself coding at 3 a.m.
Yeah, and then becomes a tech lead in Silicon Valley. Incredible story.
It really is.
And then there's David. Faced huge adversity, lost his legs in Afghanistan,
Yeah.
and then turns that challenge into becoming a Paralympic champion. Just powerful recent examples.
Definitely powerful. And the material's take on these stories is pretty pointed. It says, look, these people didn't just wait around for luck.
Right.
They actively made their own destiny. And then it turns that focus right back onto you, the listener.
Mm-hmm. With that direct challenge.
Yeah, you have the same blood, the same fire, it says. So what's your excuse?
Wow. That's strong. It's definitely meant to provoke some self-reflection
Yeah.
based on this potential the source sees in everyone.
For sure. And that kind of reflection leads straight into the material's final call to action.
Yeah, and that call is really unambiguous. From this perspective, progress wasn't built by spectators, right? It was built by doers.
By doers.
Yeah.
So the question becomes, what action are you going to take?
And if that challenge resonates, if you're feeling that, the material actually gives you a concrete 3-step mission to follow.
Okay, what are the steps?
Step 1, write down one goal, but one that genuinely scares you a bit. Something big enough that it feels intimidating.
Okay, one scary goal. Got it. Step 2.
Step 2, take one single step toward it. And the emphasis is on right now. Immediate action.
Yeah.
Just one step to break the inertia.
One step right now. Okay. And step 3.
Step 3, repeat. Keep doing it until you are unstoppable. It's framed as this continuous cycle. Challenge yourself, act, build momentum, repeat.
Challenge, act, repeat. It sounds simple, but obviously requires that grit we've been talking about.
Absolutely. And the final message from the material is really this powerful push. The world needs your contribution, your genius, your hustle, whatever it is you bring. It's a clear nudge to get off the sideline.
Move from thinking and planning to actually doing.
Exactly. Execution.
So we've taken quite a deep dive here into this material on American Grit. We've looked at its historical framing, those 3 laws: embrace the suck, find your why, outwork your doubts.
Right. And the modern examples, people like Sarah and David, and that very direct call to action at the end.
We've covered the core ideas presented. Resilience as refusing to quit when you fail, reframing struggle as essential training.
Anchoring your effort in a clear purpose and just overcoming inaction through consistent hustle. That's the essence of it, according to the source.
So as you think about everything we've discussed, all these perspectives from this deep dive, maybe consider that final sentiment from the material. What does it truly mean for you personally to believe you might be made of the same stuff as the legends mentioned? How could that idea maybe shift how you look at the challenges you're facing or the goals you're pursuing right now?